All right, hey everybody, and welcome back to the Telivy MSP podcast. Very excited to introduce our guest here today. Eddie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. How's everybody doing? Eddie Damawan with D1 Defend. We're based out of Southern California in an area called Chino in the Inland Empire, if anyone's familiar with it. Um, we've been around since 2007. Recent name change. We were D1 Networks and we recently changed to D1 Defend for our transition to the managed security.
Very cool. I'm going to ask you about your transition to managed security services in a second, too. Hey everybody, I'm Jeremy, head of partnerships at Telivy, and we're an automated cybersecurity risk assessments platform for over 100 MSPs. MSPs like Halt Data Solutions, Triad Networks, and Level 5 Management use Telivy to run risk assessments, to win new clients, and monitor existing clients, and have all given Telivy 5-star reviews. MSPs love Telivy because MSPs reduce risk assessments that take 7 to 8 days manually to under 5 hours. Absolutely incredible. You have to see it to believe it. Let's jump right into D1 Defend. Can you tell us what is D1 Defend?
Again, we're an MSSP based out of Chino, California. And we've been around since 2007. I've been running the company as at first was break fix, evolved to the managed service provider side, or what we know as MSP. And now we've evolved to the MSSP side of things and focusing on cyber risk.
Very, very cool. Before we dive into your journey from break fix to MSP to MSSP, because I'd love to understand the reasoning behind each pivot, can you tell us about just general your problems that you solve, that you help your clients solve today as an MSSP, solutions, specific solutions that you provide them?
Absolutely. We do help our customers, our clients, and new prospects with identifying their security vulnerabilities. That's one of the main things. The first thing, the cyber risk assessment is highly important for every business to understand. We figure out their attack surfaces and we figure out the vulnerabilities and we help create a roadmap for them to reduce those cyber risks.
Very, very cool. Um, and I guess just to dive into that a little deeper, could you share with us a customer case study story for, IT and cybersecurity professionals in the audience can understand, and also other MSPs and MSSPs can understand? What's sort of the customer journey? Could you share a case study with us?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Jeremy. We're actually working through one right now with a
Nice.
company out here and locally, and they've been hit with ransomware back in 2019, and they currently have an internal IT. So we're in a co-managed setup with this one. So they came to us to basically find out if it was actually for a separate project, which I don't want to get into, but I had asked them tons of questions, and then they did claim that they did a they did go through a ransomware back in 2019. Long story short, I asked them like, have you guys did anything to kind of clear things up to make sure that it doesn't still live? And the whole room pretty much got quiet. So it was a little scary thought knowing that it's 2023 now, and so far nothing has happened, but they haven't really done any security measures to figure out what happened. Going through the whole forensics process and even to just prevent, to do some prevention. They did add EDR. I'm not going to say any names, but that's all they did. And
Can I
yeah,
ask
go
what
ahead.
industry do they work in? Are they technical? Is this a technical industry or you know?
No, they
Mm,
are they are a manufacturing distribution company.
got it, got it. And then you mentioned that you're co-managing this with the IT team. Can you maybe help us shed some light? Maybe business owners, they have an IT department. They go, I'm fine. We're fine, right? We're safe. We got an IT department. We're on it. But when you asked that question and everyone went silent, what's the missing piece, right? How do you know things that they don't know, and why is an MSSP like yourself so important?
Well, again, it's asking questions to the business owner and asking questions to the IT personnel as well to just figure out what they did. Um, Again, this was a separate. we were brought in for a separate project. It was to basically do a server upgrade. But with our sales process, we want to understand what truly is the situation as opposed to here's a quote for the server. We'll have fun with it. Um, so we do ask questions, and I like to ask questions to the business owner to understand their business process, as well to the IT guy to make sure, hey, what have you been doing? How are you supporting this setup? And why are we where we are now to require a server upgrade? Um,
Mm.
with those questions, and I mean, it's not to pry or anything, but we want to figure out what it is the business is trying to truly achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And came out this whole story. They spilled the beans on, yeah, we got with ransomware. We didn't have any true backups. We lost data. They estimated losing about 175,000 per day during that whole downtime, and they were down
Wow.
probably for about 10 days, 10 business
Wow.
days.
Wow. That's huge. And
Very.
that's a huge problem that you all solve for them. And I feel like this type of situation is more common than people might think, right? That's why breaches happen all the time. Ransomware happens all the time. And I think it's up to someone like you and D1 Defend to have that expertise to know what questions to ask, right? The business owner, they're worried about their business, right? In whatever industry, they might not be technical.
Exactly.
Even the IT department, they may be busy doing, IT is so huge, right? So everyone's busy, everyone has their priorities, but we don't want to let cybersecurity fall through the cracks, right? And that's why we need folks like you and Defend. So yeah, thank you for that. And I'd love to jump back now to your story from you mentioned as an business owner, you went from being a break fix business to MSP to MSSP. Could you walk us through, I guess, that journey? What was happening at each of those points in time, and what made you change, and what was the effect of that change?
Sure. Again, like with every geeks that I know, at least in my little network, we always claim to be able to do things a lot better than what it's currently set up at. So I was laid off from the corporate world twice, and that made me realize, like, okay, I'm just sick of being a number, and why not try to do this better? Why not try to
Mm.
do IT better? So hence Eddie the computer guy came out, right? Became a break fix, knocking on doors on businesses to basically see what if they have any issues with their IT, and it's just right straight to the point, bill them as we get a call. It's a more reactive.
And where
Um,
were you when you created your break fix? Your break fix, was it California, New York?
it was in California. So after I got laid off from New York, I got laid off from Net Zero back in 2001. As you guys probably know why. There was 9/11 and the dot-com bubble popped. And so, yeah, there
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
our fun money, right? So I moved back to California. I'm originally from California. I've always been a Cali boy. Um, so went back home and started this whole thing. Well, I'm sorry. I worked for a bank after that. And yeah, basically got laid off from there too because of the 2008 situation. Yeah, just
Wow.
I came in
Every
at the
turn.
right time. I think yeah, I feel that there's something guiding me towards entrepreneurship because
Mm.
I keep facing weird economic turmoil that forced
Yeah.
me into entrepreneurship. So
Well,
yeah,
well,
that's how it
well,
started.
the economy happens to everybody, but it takes a certain personality and motivation and drive, and also the ability to start something yourself, right? Create something out of nothing. And yeah, I think those things combine. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So what motivated your change from break fix to the MSP, and when was that?
So we joined a little group. I shouldn't say any names. I don't know if I can say names or anything. Let's just skip the names. But I joined
Okay for
a
us, as long as it's okay for you. But yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
I joined a group basically. Just started networking, and
Mm.
um, basically they're preaching this monthly recurring revenue, which is
Mm.
which sounds so fantastic for us. And it was I say us because I had one other person with me that was kind of part time doing this break fix work, but I didn't like sitting on the phone waiting for something to happen. I don't want to be reactive. Like, how can I be proactive?
Mm.
So we transitioned completely in 2015. A little earlier than that, maybe you're challenging my my memory here, man. Um,
That's what I'm here for.
2014 and 2015,
Mm.
we ended up switching to MSP fully. We converted our customers. We actually,
Oh,
thank God, we didn't lose any. When we
wow.
pitched the
Okay.
whole thing, and they were like, "What? Why?" And we
Yeah.
told them basically the values of, look, imagine how long does it take for you to recover from downtime? How long does it take for me to get to your place to fix this one computer and have Sally sit there? And he's like, "Oh, makes sense. So you're saying you could
Mm.
fix things before we can even we need to call you?" It's like, that's right. So
Wow.
surprisingly, they went for it. Obviously, I'm going to be honest. I'm telling you the high level. It was a rough transition because we did have to, what we call in the sales world, a monkey's paw. We gave them a little taste first, and it kind of evolved from there. And then they
Hmm.
realized the value, and they finally switched. So it was a quite a bit of a project. Um, some of them didn't want to convert at all, but they really want us to to serve them. So we did just charge a higher fee, and they're still with us. So we're
Wow.
doing it basically on project basis, and then yeah, and we've been like that until probably until 2022, to be honest. Because again, the MSP world is, don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. We went through COVID, and having that monthly recurring revenue was just nice.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sustained us. It was very nice. But yeah, in 2022, we realized, well, actually back in 2019, about when ransomware started getting mainstream.
Hmm.
That's when everyone started asking the questions, and that's when we started researching and figuring out, like, what do we need to do with this instead
Who
of
was
partnering with
asking the
the
questions?
enterprise. I was asking the questions,
Oh, you. Okay. Okay.
and
Cool. Cool.
well, we I'm a geek at heart, so I attend a lot of events and conferences just to
Mm.
keep up with the trends. Going to Black Hat. I don't know if you guys are going to Black Hat this
Yes,
week,
we are.
but nice. And DEF CON as well in the back. I've been a little reluctant to join DEF CON, but uh,
They're right next to each
because of
other,
the
right?
whole
They're
hacking.
oh.
They are. They're right after Black Hat. Typically, DEF CON is across, and everybody typically has weird issues happening with their connection. But um,
Of course.
but yeah, I we have to keep up, right? As geeks at heart, we have to
Mm.
keep up with the technology trends, and we have to keep up with the latest security trends. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't keep up with everything technology anymore because, unfortunately, as a business owner, we have to understand the business side of things as well.
Hmm.
So it is a little stressful. But our company has grown. We have 5 people total now, and we're using a lot of outsourced help to kind of help with the level 1 support desk and even our security operations center. We
Mm.
went through a lot of vetting process as well to find the right partnership to help us just scale.
Wow, very, very cool. And I want to just break apart the conversion from a break fix into an MSP just a little bit. So,
Sure.
for an MSP or a break fix company, it's a no-brainer, right? Monthly recurring revenue, everybody wants that, um, and just ongoing customers. And your pitch to your clients was what intrigued me, right? And you got everybody on board, and you kept all your customers. So I got the part where you say, well, what if we can prevent this downtime or this breach from ever happening, right?
Yes.
And I imagine for them as a cost, it would cost them way less to have you guys on as a managed service provider
Oh,
than
100%.
there's a fire and now we gotta fix it. Now we gotta. So and then you also mentioned the monkey's paw, and I imagine there was a lot of trust development that needed to be built right in that time. Um, in your
Absolutely.
opinion, what are the key factors? Like, let's say there's some break fix companies listening right now, and they want to convert.
Hmm.
What are your key strategies to make this transition work smoothly, as smoothly as possible? Yeah.
Sure. Well, one of the biggest things that I think everybody needs to understand, if you guys are a break fix company wanting to convert to MSP, you need to believe in what you can do. It's a mindset shift on your side. Because if you don't feel like we don't need to really do this on a monthly basis, like get that out, get that head trash out first. That is first and foremost. Once you understand that and you see the value, then you can actually go out to your clients and say, hey, this is where we're transitioning to. And then bring up the doctor analogy, right? You're not going to go to a doctor and basically say, hey, doctor, I got strep throat. Send me some antibiotics. Doctor's going to be slapped with malpractice, right? He's going to have to go through the diagnosis. He's going to have to go through all these things to actually just cure you. And he'll tell you after all those tests, he'll find out like, wow, Eddie, you got some issues, man. Like you need to take care of
Mm.
this. You need to take care of that. And maybe we don't see it immediate, but when it happens, it's going to cost a lot more. Prevention is always better. And then I always ask the clients, like, why do you have insurance? What's the insurance for? If it's not to just protect yourself and to have prevention.
That's such an amazing point. I want to shift over to now. What made you move from an MSP to an MSSP? A lot of the folks listening right now, a lot of folks in our community are MSPs. What made you switch to become an MSSP?
Again, it's the geek at heart, and it's obviously we need to transition. I'm going to be honest. I attended the last Kaseya event in Vegas, and my goodness, how the MSP community grew.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
are tons of like 1 to 2 man shops, right? That
Yep.
are
Yep.
just birthing out everywhere. So, question popped in my mind, like, what? This is nuts. I'm glad we're shifting to MSSP side because now we can even help MSPs to layer up on their security where they don't even have to worry about it. Um, so again, it goes back to the mindset thing. Can I really apply security to these companies? And once that happens, once you change that mindset, yeah, we had to do it. I did it because of necessity, and I did it because we have to adapt to the current changing times. And if
Mm.
we stay in MSP, looking at what just happened at Kaseya Connect, it was the competition pool is just a lot bigger. I mean, I don't see my competitors as competitors, but I see them as collaborators, at least some of them. But yeah, it's just too many. It's getting saturated. So then it becomes a price war. And that to me is a waste of time talking
Yep.
price with
Yep.
clients or with prospects.
100%. And I imagine not only is it a less saturated market to go into MSSP, but also introduction of AI. You mentioned in 2019, ransomware became a big thing. 2024, there's going to be another big thing, right? There's going to be another big thing, another big thing. And it's only going to
Yes.
grow, right? As we move more and more into remote work, more and more into cloud, right? More and more into AI. And MSSP and the security services, like, you guys will be doing things that we can't even imagine today, right? So, yeah, I do think that that market is growing. Uh, so, what, in terms of your service, or maybe even your team, your offering changed when you became an MSSP? What changed? What was new?
Well, nothing really changed as far as in what our services are. Our managed package has always been, I, I like the human touch. So our managed package I'm going to do a little pitch here, Jeremy, if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
go
but
for it.
we
Yeah.
have a, we have a 2 ring live answer support. Like it, for all our customers,
Wow.
for all our managed service customers, pick up the phone and call. It's literally 2 rings and it's a live answer. Because I personally hate talking to machines. I hate talking to auto attendants and trying to press 1, 2, 3 and all the stressful things. But
And the
anyways,
music.
um, yeah, we help your immediate need and with that human touch. So it didn't really change much, but it was we added an advanced security stack, which included the EDR, the SOC SIEM solution, and we put in zero trust architecture, and then we also have additional processes based on the NIST cybersecurity wheel, um, just to apply those processes over again. And now with CMMC looming around the corner here, that for companies that do work with DoD, that's going to be pushed as well, and it's going to be the standard now for businesses to have because our infrastructure is getting attacked here in America. And yeah, processes. It wasn't easy. We're still working through it, honestly, and it's partnering up with the right people and having the right peer group to actually ask the right questions as well, and to just collaborate, work together, and figure out how to solve this big issue.
Hmm. Did your pivot into MSSP, did that happen recently? You mentioned Kaseya. Was that a few, was that very recent?
Well, the pivot to the MSSP has been thought of a while
Ah,
back, but we changed our name from D1 Networks to D1 Defend
ah,
just this year. Yeah,
wow, very
because
cool.
when we talk security, everyone says network. I mean, you do networking, you do low voltage. I'm like, no, we have that, but it's different. It doesn't capture the market as easy without the security stuff on your name.
Yeah. I mean, when you hear security, yeah, yeah, oh, I get that. Like, I understand what it is, like, immediately. I'm curious, same question as before. How did your customers react and manage that transition to MSSP, to those additional packages? Yeah, where you're like, hey, we're doing this now, and they're like, oh, that's amazing. Please do it for us. What was that like? Did you receive any resistance?
There's always resistance, right? There's always resistance to price changes, and there's always resistance to changes, Jeremy. I be
Right.
honest. Um, there has been resistance, but the news speaks for itself, and it just speaks for itself. And
Mm.
just asking them when this is a question of when, not if. Okay, you will get hit. How can you live with yourself? Um, I mean, again, these are preventable things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So going back to that doctor analogy, right? Like, look, I don't want you to take drugs either, right? But you know what? You need these cholesterol medicines so you don't have a heart attack. So preventable things, and
Yep.
it just I don't
And
know
lower
that
cost, long term, lower
it's
cost
lowest
than a
cost,
breach.
correct? Exactly. How much is a breach versus how much is just to pay a little bit on a monthly basis? And then if you really want to see the logs, which most customers don't want to see the logs or anything like that, or any boring thing, just to make sure that we're doing something, um, here it is, right? We do our quarterly check-ins, our I hate the word QBR,
Oh.
but we do a business review with everybody just to say like, hey, these are the preventions that we've seen. We give them a little nice executive summary, and that helps them see like, wow, oh wait, Jimmy clicked on that phishing link. It's like, yeah, man, he did. So,
But it was
but it's
prevented.
okay. He got educated. It was prevented.
Mm.
So it helps.
This is a key. It's very important for MSPs, MSSPs doing security, which is if you're in the business of prevention, how does the customer understand? How do you educate the customer on the impact you're having, right? If, oh, $15 million breach and then you fixed it, okay, the customer understands the impact. But if it's, oh, nothing's happened for, 5 years, 10 years,
Yeah.
how do you communicate, educate, the quarterly reporting? I find that as a huge part of that. But yeah, could you explain?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. So one of our clients that we've had since inception, they're they were a small business. We grew with them. They're now about like five
Wow.
locations throughout the region, which is amazing.
Nice.
They're a manufacturing company, and honestly, the CEO still has that small business mindset. It's like nothing's happened yet, Eddie. What's going on? It's like, yeah, because we've been watching you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and now the threats are getting more advanced, like with AI, the adoption of AI. I mean, heck, not even before that, right? There's ways to get past through the current barriers. What we have now no longer works with the current trend. So same thing with the adoption of airbags, right? Why do we have airbags? You know, we should have with our seatbelts should be fine. But heck, some people don't even put on their seatbelt. I don't know. But
Yep.
the car safety that's a good example is the car safety industry or the auto industry. The safety features and the safety requirements have increased over time. And honestly, it happened because somebody else got into a bad accident and these compliance requirements are applied. Same thing. Do you want to be in that accident? Do you want to be the case study for us to add another layer to
Al-
or
Also,
requirement?
in that analogy, the industry changes regardless of you.
Correct.
Introduction of smartphones. Now suddenly people are looking at their phones while they drive, right? Cars are getting faster, right? So yeah, it's there's all these external factors that affect this too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with your home security, right? If you guys have home security, how many people have Ring doorbells now? How many people have cameras in their house or in their perimeter? How many locks do you guys have? Like that continues to increase as well. I don't know what neighborhood you guys are in, but some neighborhoods require more than not. Even the quiet rich ones, even Irvine, the safest city in the world, supposedly, right? Irvine, California. I've known more robberies in that area alone than in my area in Chino Hills. So it's crazy. And yes, they're layering up their security there because of that.
Hmm.
Same
Yeah,
concept. It's prevention. Don't wait until it happens.
absolutely. I love the analogies. I love the messaging. That sometimes it can get very technical. Sometimes it's just overload of information. But and I think this really helps in terms of the sales process and the customer relation process. I'd love to dive into that. Um, I'd love to learn about your sales process from meeting new clients. Where do you meet new clients? I know that you go to a lot of conferences, to demo, to the assessment, to the pitch and proposal, to deal one. And then now you're monitoring, managing, and then you now have a new package, right? Now another new package. Yeah.
So as we shifted to the MSSP, our foot in the door is the CSRAs or the Cybersecurity Risk Assessment.
Interesting.
Again, we need to find out where you guys are, right? And something about us, we like to put in the right fit solutions. We don't like to just, you know what, you need this, that, you need EDR, you need SOC. Some businesses don't require that. Your your bakery is not going to have the same requirements
Yep.
as your whatever financial firm that deals with billions of dollars in assets, right?
Yeah.
So do you need to layer up the same thing to the poor bakery?
Yeah. Privacy,
Could you?
compliance,
Yeah.
regulation.
Yeah, there's a lot of things and like, there's a lot of regulations and compliance. So I like this analogy, and I wish I could say this is mine, but this is from one of our partners. Is you don't want to buy $1,000 bike lock for a exercise bike that never leaves your garage. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense, right? Let's not do that. So we start with the vulnerability assessment. We figure out all your attack surfaces, infrastructure, even building access and all that, even with employees. And then from there, we use security tools. Now you got me looking in Telivy to figure out this security risk assessment because it does take a while. We have our little processes there to run, and once we find out your attack surfaces, we figure out your vulnerabilities, and we figure out your critical assets. And once we have all that, we create a roadmap to protect these things.
Actually, a quick
So it's sort
question,
of like a
rewinding back.
discovery. Sure.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. A quick question with the assessment. So, how do you do it today? Do you do it manually? Is it with a bunch of different tools and you have to combine all that data together manually?
Yes, and
Oh,
yes. It's
how
manual
long does that
tools.
take for like a client if you're trying to win a new client?
Some of them are easy, are pretty fast, but some of them require more attention. They have more critical assets, so it all depends. I wish I can. We haven't done a ton of them to basically for us to calculate how long does it really truly take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it takes a while because we want to be thorough.
Right, exactly. I'm going to do a shameless plug right here and
Yeah.
say we had a client who works with government contracts, and to get that, to bid for that contract, right? It's like a month process. Start working on your prep, start doing your risk assessments, and then a month later is your demo. The nice thing about them using Telivy is normally if they were to do it manually, they'd have to take a whole month. And then a month later, it's like, okay, now we got all our data, we have to pitch now. And we don't have leeway or time to ask the client for more questions to improve the quality of the data and the quality of the report. With Televy, they actually started getting data back in the first week. So just literally the first week, they start asking
Wow.
follow-up questions. They improve the report. They do more assessments in this area, and then they won the deal a month later. So okay, that's enough of my plug though. No, I love that I really appreciate that you appreciate the importance of a risk assessment in terms of the sales process, right? This is something we've been trying to communicate with MSPs, MSSPs. And so I love it. I'm really glad that you're here to explain it with your beautiful analogies.
Oh,
So
thank you.
past the, of course, past the discovery, right? I'm curious, what's that, winning that new client, that pitch proposal. You did talk about the transitions and the upgrades a little bit with your past clients already with the pivots, but yeah, I'm just curious what that journey is like from initial winning the deal, solving the initial problem, and then how does that transition to a long-term managed relationship?
Well, again, our tools always run in the background, and we always keep in touch with our clients. Where again, it's the human factor of everything,
Mm,
right? We're not allowing our tools to automate everything, and we don't even talk to our clients. Um, Obviously, their business evolves, and so does ours, and so does the world, and so does the trends and the issues and the risks, right? So as we keep up, they keep up in their industry, we keep up in our industry, and we share information, we share intel. So it's constant communication with the client. We have a well, we're built. We have a client success process, and that's I think is the key. Again, no one wants to read boring reports. Now, our
mm,
co-managed clients, the IT directors, well, they don't even like to read boring reports, to be honest.
okay.
They want to be able to just know that everything is good, and here's why, and here's what we have kind of protected you from. Um, Annual pen test, heck, even monthly ones, depending on what your what your industry is, just to make sure we check it. And I gotta tell everybody here that's listening, use third party pen testing. You as an MSP need to be pen tested yourself, just
Okay.
so it could check and balance. You need to audit yourself because what's the point, right? If you're auditing your own work, come on, we're gonna be biased. So use a third party. um, but yeah, we use a third party, and that's constant. It depends on the cycles, quarterly, I mean monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Um, and yeah, it's that constant communication. We don't necessarily go out with our clients and kind of just have a good time, but we don't also bother them with a long, boring QBR. And I'm throwing air quotes here. Um, it doesn't have to be quarterly. It's what your customer can tolerate.
Mm,
If
mm-hmm.
they like you, they don't mind meeting with you here and there, even for a coffee or for happy hour, just to chat and just talk about the trends, talk about the technology, talk about their business.
100%. And as I'm talking to more business owners, MSP owners, I'm starting to see a trend here where the personality of the founder of the CEO really affects how the business runs. It really affects the sales process. It really affects the customer service. You mentioned two calls, and you're going to pick up, right? And then these communications, and you mentioned this a lot. Oh, if the customers like you, right? So the building relationships, building trust, having this open, honest communication channel, also being empathetic to, as much as they can tolerate, right? Like you don't want to do too much or too little.
Exactly.
And you mentioned a human touch. Why is that so important to you? Where did that come from? And I'm curious, the benefits of doing that.
I'm glad you asked that, Jeremy. Um, I'm a firm believer of, treat others the way you want to be treated, right? And honestly, I don't like talking to machines. If I'm having an issue, let's just say it's to take care of a bank transaction, right?
Ah, yep,
A
yep.
transaction didn't go through, or there's a false amount on the transaction. Let's just create that scenario, right? I'm trying to transfer money to you, Jeremy. You only got $100, but I told him $1,000. What are we gonna do? Of course, you're
Person.
gonna complain to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the bank. What
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
happens when I call the bank? Thank you for calling bank. For customer service, press one. Very annoying, right?
Very.
Or they'll say sales or whatever.
Yeah. And because there's no empathy, there's no urgency. You don't understand how important this is to me. You're just, you know, really slowly taking your time. Press one for this. Press nine for this. You know, yeah.
Exactly. It's frustrating,
Yeah.
and you're already emotionally high, right? You already have this frustration. Um, so talking to a human is just to me is better. I
Hmm.
am a social person. Maybe some introverts do not want to talk to humans. I don't know. Like my daughter is like that, but God bless her. I I need to talk to a person because we can have a conversation to figure out what's going on. Even if they put me on hold, let me check with my manager, blah, blah, blah. It's
Hmm.
better
Yeah.
than
You're
just
on it.
talking back to a machine.
100%. Um, it's funny how you were able to sort of use these internal motivations for how you want to be treated and be able to treat your customers at that quality, right, at that bar. Um, so, and I'm, I guess I'm. How did that affect your relationship with the customers? And I'm asking this for maybe MSPs who maybe just sort of transact via text or on a computer and
Sure.
haven't really thought of why they would need to do this, right? Why this is important.
Think about it. Again, how would you want to be treated? If I'm paying you, Jeremy, $5,000 a month or whatever the case may be, right? I'm paying you and your company. And when it hits the fan,
Yep.
I'm talking to a machine. I mean, how would
Yeah.
how would that make me feel? Or how would you feel if that's the case, right?
Yep.
Just
Yep.
put yourself in their shoe, like empathize with that situation. I mean, we don't have to go crazy and kind of, you know, have dinners with their family or anything like that, but it's just how would you want to be treated? Like
Yeah.
you
Make
have
it
to
human.
empathize with your yeah, it's we're human. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, our technology is supposed to help us, not for us to use it to avoid social um
Yeah.
situations, right?
Yeah. I,
So yeah,
I'm
go
just gonna
ahead.
draw a connection back because this just popped in my head earlier in the conversation. You mentioned you went through from break fix to MSP, MSP to MSSP. All along the way, your customers followed you, stayed with you, and I can't help but feel that your approach to these relationships must have had an impact on that. So that's just my thoughts.
I'll leave that to you and the
Okay.
listeners, right? What do
Yeah.
you
Yep.
think? Do
Yeah.
you think it's all about relationship or is it just transaction? Is it
Mm.
slicing prices or is it a trust factor? We're
Yeah.
supposed to be the trusted advisor. Do you feel having that relationship that I can become the advisor? I don't know
Yep.
if you noticed, but presidents that move up, they have their own team, quote unquote. And typically, a lot of those are not just professional consultants. They're literally like their close friends or their trusted circle to speak the truth, to give them real advice.
Yeah. Trust is a very practical and crucial thing. Yeah. Not just a wishy washy social thing. Um,
Yes.
100%, 100% agree. You mentioned advisor. Okay, 16 years at D1 Defend, 25 years in IT. What are what's your most important career learning that you can share with our community?
Relationships. Relationships is key. Again, I'm a geek. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer. Actually, before I got into IT, I used to wrench. I used to work on cars. I love fixing things. That's just my thing. I love taking things apart. I love fixing things. But honestly, I got into the whole car thing because of a social gathering. And it just kind of drew me into the social aspect of it. I got into
Mm.
IT because one of my close buddies actually said, "Hey man, IT is the future. Come join." And this was back in, oh my gosh, I don't want to age myself here, Jeremy, but let's just say it's the 90s. And
Okay.
when I got into the computers, man, it's yeah, I can see why everybody just buries themselves into the computers. But I
Mm.
remember the school had two tracks. One is to become a developer, and one's to become kind of like a support or a tech support or a network infrastructure guy. And I chose a network because again, it's the social aspect. It's the relationship. It's me coming up to a user and say, "I can fix your problem. Let me let me help you with that." I'm a it's all about relationships, man. We're at the end of the day, we're helping. Hence IT support, right?
Mm.
Support. We're supporting. So support is to help, is to strengthen. And that's what we are. So that's why relationships to me is the key.
Wow, thank you so much, Eddie. This is my last question. So I noticed that you advertise that you help businesses manage their cyber risk. Are you currently accepting new clients, and who should reach out to you, and what's the best way to reach you?
Well, we're revamping our site. I know you probably are looking at the current website. We're currently revamping our site. Reach out. Find me on LinkedIn. You could definitely find me on LinkedIn. We also have we spun off another education site called the Cyber Hygienist, and I think that's key in prevention as well as keeping up with good cyber hygiene. We trademarked the name actually, so
It's
the
a good
best
name.
way is find me on LinkedIn. We are taking new clients, but again, and it has to be the right fit. If you don't like me or I don't like you, why work together, right? Then we can't have this relationship. And if it's just transactional, I'm not interested. We're interested in the ones that really want to make a difference and
Mm.
really want to grow and understand that wow, technology can help me grow. So here it is. Technology and IT is not an expense. It's not a bottom line. It's a value and it helps you grow your business. Those are the clients we want. But yes, you can find me on d1defend.com. That's D as in Delta, the number one, defend.com, or my LinkedIn, Eddie Damawan. I have a pretty unique name, Dharmawan, Darmawan. So I know there's other Dharmawans, but I think that I'm hoping I'm the only one in IT.
All the links will be in the description. Um,
Awesome.
and in terms of your customers, are they mostly in California, New York, Ontario, or international, or California?
Most of them are in California.
Nice,
We
nice.
prefer the local just because we can keep that human touch.
Awesome,
But
awesome.
we do have clients that grow and they end up in parts of the country, right? We do have presence in Singapore and Indonesia as
Oh
well,
wow.
but that's mostly project based. But yeah, we have a lot of contacts there, and again, it's because of the relationships. And yeah, if you're ever in Singapore or we're in Bali, let's connect.
Let's do it. Links are in the description. And I'll do my plug. Hey, folks, are you an MSP? Get your free automated risk assessment today at telivy.com. That's Telivy.com. And special promotion for podcast listeners. That's you. If you like Televy and want to run automated risk assessments for more clients and more endpoints, let us know you came from the podcast. We'll give you 20% off the upgrade. Cool. So awesome. Thank you so much, Eddie, for speaking, for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, your skills, human relationship building skills, and your journey through the pivots and your career in IT. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy.
Thank you. I'll see you all next time.
All right.